Welcome to ET Money Ask the Expert session. Today, we are joined by Ms. Usha Nair, Senior Vice President, DSP Mutual Fund. The COVID-19 induced market crash has again brought back the focus on why asset allocation is an extremely important thing to do while investing. And one fund category that is often touted as the best way to achieve it is dynamic asset allocation funds, also known as balanced advantage funds. But what are these funds and how do they work? In this two-part series, we try decoding this category with Usha. Usha, thank you for taking out time and talking to us.
Thank you, Rajat, for inviting me on the show.
Sure. So let's get started and let's start from the basics. How are these funds different from other funds that invest in a mix of equity and debt, the hybrid category that we call them?
So Rajat, let me start by not directly going into the category or the how they are different. Let me just give a small anecdote or a narrative to help our viewers understand the concept better. Almost everyone who's viewing the show would know of Nadal, the Spanish tennis player. And we also know that he's a left-handed tennis player. But the interesting part is he is not a natural left-hander. He writes with his right hand, which is a very strange behavior when you look at people. Normally, left-handers do write with left hand. They mostly eat with their left hand, and they're comfortable doing everything with their left hand. But Nadal is an exception. There are a lot of stories that go behind this skill of his. In tennis, as many who know the game know, there is a distinct advantage that left-handers have over, their opponent when you can play the game with the left hand. Now, when this question is asked to Nadal, most often he says he doesn't know the reason why he became a left-hander. Possible, one interpretation goes that maybe his coach saw some skill and some flexibility to use his left hand, and from the initial days trained him to use the left hand. What am I trying to say? An unnatural behavior at times is to your advantage when it came to someone like Nadal. When you play against a majority who are right-handed, a left-handed player has an advantage. So is the case as far as investing is concerned. The most natural behavior for an investor is to buy high and sell low, which means when markets are expensive, you tend to purchase units or you tend to buy stocks because the herd mentality prevails. And human beings are wired over many years of centuries and millions of years of evolution to do which is the most natural behavior, that is to follow the herd. And we have, if you go and read history and human behavior, we'll understand, and there are a lot of scientific studies done on that. I won't get into that. What does this category of product does is that it takes away that most natural behavior. And naturally, we are not wired to make money. Let me tell you that, which is why there are far less successful investors than there are failed investors or, wrongdoings in the investing world, etc. So it's not a natural outcome that all of us can be great investors. These category of products understand this human tendency and the human behavior and is structured in a way in which you do the opposite, which is to buy more when markets are cheaper or less expensive, or when some issue like you started off saying COVID happened and markets have corrected and you want. But then the courage is missing at that point of time. The model does not have any courage or fear. It's unemotional, and therefore it will behave better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. So you mentioned something which is, you just said that, which was model. So following up on that, how do these funds determine what is the optimal equity debt mix, when to buy equity and when to buy debt, and how often is that adjustment made, and what is this that models that you spoke about?
Okay, so that's a right word that you are using, and we often use that in our business when we talk about these kind of products. The models are something which, like I said in the answer to your preliminary question, that helps you to navigate the journey of market volatility in a very, very nice and easy for the investor manner. What do I mean by this? What I mean by this is, when market, there are fundamental valuation principles that are available. In every business, there are certain metrics that you follow. Even in simple things like when you drive a car, there are certain procedures that we follow. You know that you change the gear, you press the clutch if it's a manual vehicle, and then you start the car, and so on and so forth. You give the signals. You brake. How do you take the car up a upward slope or a downward slope? All these principles are there. Similarly, for market, the most fundamental principle of the market is valuation. Is the market expensive? Is a lot of money chasing the same set of stocks? Is there is, in our language, we say euphoria. The euphoria in the market exists. Usually, that is not the time to buy stocks, or that is not the time to invest in capital market. A model which is of balanced advantage, dynamic asset allocation funds, understands this, and there are ways to know that. It's not that I'm saying market is expensive and you're saying market is not expensive. It's not a personal view. There are fundamental ways of knowing how the market is expensive. There are ratios, there are statistics available on a daily basis, which as as a person who runs the model, we can check, and basis that we will change the allocation to equity and fixed income. And let me also add here, as like any other product that we use frequently in our daily life, the models are something that evolve over a period of time. The smartphone that you used many years back is not the smartphone that you use. If it's even of the same brand, it has undergone a lot of model variations. So models are something that evolve over a period of time, like is the case with it's a science at the end of the day, and science is progressive. So models will evolve, but at the even and the current context, the model tells you the valuation. Is the market expensive? Then there are principles set that in this, if the valuation is X, this should be the band in equity. If the valuation is Y, this should be the band in equity. And the balancing figure after the 100 rupees that you have allocated to equity goes into fixed income and arbitrage.
Okay. And how often is this adjustments made to the allocation that fund has?
Yeah, again, different fund houses, different asset managers follow different principles. DSP, the product is DSP, Dynamic Asset Allocation Fund, and in that we track the model every day. So the underlying model is watched and the data is taken and the figures are calculated on a daily basis. And whenever a change is suggested, that from a 30% equity, you need to move to a 40%, or from a 70%, you need to move to a 60%. If the model is suggesting that, that is viewed daily. However, when that trend continues for a 30 days, that is when we go and execute the change. So we do observe the model, the values, the recordings are made on a daily basis. And if the requirement for the change is there consistently for 30 days, then we execute the change.
Okay, sure. Just continuing the conversation again on the models that you mentioned, Usha. The models that you're mentioning, and we can talk about an example. Can these models go wrong when it comes to deciding what is the right equity debt allocation?
Okay, so let me. I mean, I personally like to explain these things a little more with stories, or something that we use in our daily life. So let me use that. Let's say most of us, would know driving, and we have all probably learned driving using a manual car, and many of us today may be driving an automatic car, right? Now, there are advantages and there are disadvantages. First of all, an automatic car is something that got developed and evolved to suit the driving conditions, the road traffic, the ease for the driver, the comfort for the driver. These are the various things that went into when you created an automatic vehicle. But if you ask a very, very passionate driver whose passion is driving, who really enjoys long distance driving, or somebody who's a race car driver, I'm not too sure whether they enjoy the features of an automatic car. Maybe they still would feel their skill is much tested when they use a manual car kind of a thing. But for the large majority, like you and me, for whom a vehicle is something that transports you from a point A to point B, an automatic car does. And it also tells you, let me add that point, that's very relevant when you look at the asset allocation category of funds. It also helps a person who's not extraordinarily skilled in driving to even, sort of learn driving as something that you should know, and to help himself transport from point A to point B. probably not having to depend so much on the public transport kind of a thing. So even a novice, not so smart driver, or the skilled driver as you so call it, can sort of meet his requirement through this kind of a product that has got created. So is the case with asset allocation products. It is meant for the larger majority of people who wish to participate in the market, but do not have the time, does not have the knowledge, do not want to spend extraordinary time. So I want it, but at the same time, I'm not equipped to do all the research that a capital market product requires me to do, whether markets are good, is COVID going to change, what is the China war like, Trump's views, all these variables affect the markets, and I'm not skilled to assess and understand all of this. So for such a person, this is a product like this is meant, and that's the larger majority of people that we deal with, usually in the investing world. There are very few in that smaller bracket of very sound, solid investment, research-oriented people in the market. Now, coming to the disadvantage of the model, since I use the example of an automatic, I'll tell you, an automatic probably gives you slightly lesser mileage than a manual car, and that's the attempt that the manufacturers of these automobiles try to make, that they improve. What is one clear, more than a disadvantage, I would say a disappointment that can happen? In January, just as an example, DSP Dynamic Asset Allocation Fund had 30% allocation to equity. Now markets were at 40,000 levels, and there was money flowing into the equity market. Obviously, when I'm investing in my 100 rupees, and if only 30 rupees is going to equity, the balance is between the other two asset classes, which earn you very moderate, single-digit returns. And when markets are doing well, and you compare it with the other peer group equity funds in the different segments of the market, it's quite likely that you feel as an investor, oh, I should have put money there. When markets are going up, why am I having lesser allocation to equity kind of a feeling? So that can lead to some bit of disappointment in a raging bull market scenario, because as the markets keep going up, it keeps reducing its equity exposure. And today, in the month of June, when we speak, we know how wise that decision is. So like always, you're wiser in hindsight, right? But for that temporary period, it is possible that you may have felt disappointed, or you may even say it's a disadvantage of the product. It's not a disadvantage. It is that the behavior or the purpose of the product is to do it in that manner. It is not meant for anything else. But if you were to ask me for one point where a client could get a little unnerved, it could be in a raging bull market. It doesn't participate 100%.
Sure. So, Usha, let's move on to the next question. It is said these funds make the market conditions irrelevant when it comes to investing. Can you explain how does that happen with these funds?
Yeah. So, Rajat, that's actually the beauty of the product. Most of us as investors, as seasoned investors, or as beginners in the market, there is this belief that you would want to time the market. And a lot of legendary investors always say that timing the market is not you should consider, but the time that you spend in the market is what is important. But that's easier said, as many things in life is. And, we all will get carried away when markets are on a roll upwards, and then start panicking when you see some signs of correction. So this product does not want you to do market timing. If April 2020 was very good time to buy equity, the model already showed you that it invested 80% in equity. And in January, if it was not the best time to buy equities, it only had 30%. Now, the problem with markets, or with many other things, is a peak and trough is always historic. Today, looking back, we will say that 21,000 was the peak in 2008. And 42,000 of Sensex that we saw in January 2020 was again the peak that we have seen today. But 5 years from today, those numbers would be very different. So it's always that wisdom comes in hindsight, because these numbers only make sense when times have passed. But the model is unemotional. Model did not think whether it is 42,000. Model didn't know anything about COVID, but it still behaved in a particular manner, because the market valuations, the fundamental principles, which is measured by two ratios which are probably known, price to earnings and price to book, told the signals that it gave where that you are in a expensive territory, and therefore calm, slow down. That's what was told to the model, and the model executed that. Model threw up that signal, and the model also executed that. So there you didn't have to time the market either way. So that timing the market, which is completely emotional and a biased decision, is eliminated by the model.
Sure. So, and a connected question to this, Usha, is that if the timing in becomes irrelevant, then what is the right way? Should somebody do lump sum, can and put the big amount if they have, or SIPs is still a preferred or recommended model when it comes to investing in these funds?
Yeah. So Rajat, in this, lump sum is equally good because you are anyway allocating through a phased manner in the product. So lump sum, it's a product which is good from a lump sum investment perspective as well. Because fundamentally, what would you do if you were to do lump sum today, and you look at the market valuations and decide that, okay, let me stagger it. The markets are expensive, so I want to put only 20% of my allocation or 30%, or I would like to stagger it over a few. So these are the various ways you invest money into the market. Since the model itself is determining valuation levels and basis which it is saying high or low amount to be allocated, it's a good product to allocate for lump sum investments. And SIP, any equity product, while it doesn't give you very high volatility, it also allows you to participate in a very, very conservative manner in the equity market with controlled volatility, and that also will be something that can be considered.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much for this insights, Usha. With this, we come to the end of part 1. We will be back with the second part of the conversation soon.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.